Ow, 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 ow. Reconnect with your body.
Hi and welcome. Before we go further in this course, I want to explain more in depth a concept and tool I introduced in the module 0. I'm talking about the 0 point. The 0 point is not something I invented. It is a concept that Greg Braden explained really well in his book Walking Between the Worlds, and is also used by Kishori Ertz in the reprogrammation of the DNA. In some tradition, they speak about non-judgment. In the Buddhist approach, they speak about the way of the middle. And in Vipassana meditation, they express it as equanimity. In the Chinese culture, they tell us that there are two energies, the yin and the yang. And we got to learn that those energies are separated because we speak about male or female, light or dark, black or white. But we often miss the second part of the explanation, which says that the yang is the sunny side of a mountain, like over there, and the yin is the shadow side of the same mountain. So we understand a little bit better that those two sides are part of the same mountain. Now, if you put your body instead of the mountain, you realize you cannot have sun in every side of your body. There'll always be a shadow. And as we bring our physical body in the game, we actually create this duality of creating shadow. Even if you have artificial lightning all around you, there'll still be shadow within your matter. Now, we understand that we need to embrace both sides to be the full mountain. We need to embrace the sunny and the dark side. So let's go a little bit deeper with another metaphor of a battery so we can understand what it means in terms of our body, of flow of energy, and of movement. So the battery has a plus and a minus. And the plus could be everything we label as positive in our life. And this is personal, of course, but we do share some of those positive aspects like joy, like compassion, like laughing, like satisfaction. And if we would only live by those energy, we could be labeled as a hippie and we would miss actually a bigger picture. Now, if we take the negative side, and again, this is everything you label as difficult, as not satisfying in your life, as negative. Um, it is personal, but we do share some like fear, pain, disappointment. And if we only live by those, then we can first be labeled as depressive. And we would actually, again, not be fair to the whole spectrum of our experience. And in the battery, the plus actually needs the minus for its energy to flow. And if there would only be a plus, the energy would be static, there would be no flow, and no power would be delivered. So we do understand a little bit better that as we embrace all our paradoxes and different polarities in our body, we actually allow flow to happen. And this is what your heart is already doing. By having a stronger pressure somewhere, it can reach further in the body, which are the lower pressure. That's what your breath is doing. By creating a vacuum of air, it's actually calling by different polarities a flow of life. So when this flow happens, when our energy is in motion, and that's, by the way, what we call emotion, we start to embrace a bigger part of ourselves. We start to tap in a bigger frame and using more energy as much as what we label as negative and as positive. And it doesn't have to be an extreme because you could be hungry and tired. You could be full of desire but scared. You could be joyful and at the same time a little bit lost. So for us to understand that as much as we embrace our dark, our difficult, our resistance, our challenges, at the same time with our light, our courage, our gratitude, our joy, we do actually are being in a greater space, and we do have greater energy. And as we are using both sides, the same as a battery can be put in a flashlight, can be put in anything else, we can serve something bigger. We can serve our mission, or we can serve our desires, and we're not drawn on both sides all the time, which our dual world is calling us. So that is super important to understand. As we embrace this flow of life, this flow of energy, of emotion, we enter a movement of our physiology, the movement of our body, and this is where we enter the dance of life. That's why movement is so important. And that's why I want to bring in this module. How do we integrate this in the body? So let's practice. If you take your fist and contract it to create different polarities, quite a strong pressure here. Now, some people might want to bring the face or the rest of the body to really give the full power, but it's not needed. You're actually losing power by doing this, by using energy for your face and the rest. In the practice of the 0 point, we will allow an intense pressure here. I'm really working, but at the same time, I'm giving as much intention and attention to being relaxed, to be relaxed in my face, to be relaxed in my body. And as I do this, my body has to adapt. Energy will flow. I will need to breathe more to send here blood with some oxygen. As I create two different polarities, it creates a flow. Let's relax it for a little bit. I don't want you to go into cramps, but I want you to have a physical experience, a physical understanding. The same way a child would touch a stove and burn itself. The understanding is immediate because you experience it as burning, you don't touch it again. But millions of people could tell you, don't touch the stove, don't do it. You'll need to have your personal physical experience. It's a burn on the stove knowledge. Once you touch it, you know. And that's what we're doing now with the 0 point. So let's do it again. And this time I want you to go 100% contracting the other one so that we practice a bit the other side. And as you really bring power, it's work not to be infected by this tension. It actually pushes you to acknowledge that the whole rest, which is 80% of my body and 90% of my rest of the body, is relaxed. So I don't enter the threat because this is becoming intense. So I could just follow it by tensing, and that's a natural response of your nervous system. When there is pain, when there is fear, we create tension. And now it becomes a little bit painful, but I still allow myself to be relaxed. And I can embrace more of it. This is becoming like the battery, two polarities that I allow to exist in the same space of my body, of my presence, of my emotion. So very important. Let's relax. The 0 point is not a static point. It is a place of inspiration, of creativity that flows between polarities in ourselves. That flow between our lightness and our darkness, that flow between our joys and our fears. And as we allow them to be there, to sit at the same table, we're tapping into a greater energy. And I do believe that all the great thinker, the great achiever, the great adventurer in this world, like Martin Luther King, like Gandhi, they all were tapping into their dark side as much as in their light side. And that's why their charisma, their aura, their electromagnetic space were reaching to so many people. So now maybe you understand a little bit better what I talked in the module 0, and it could be interesting for you to review your intentions about this course, having a greater understanding of this 0 point flow of energy. Because as much as we are going to allow this to happen, how much we are going to be able to release and to let all our energy flow and communicate to enter a greater balance, to enter a greater alignment in our body, in our consciousness, in our emotions, in our whole being. Thank you for watching. Now we're ready for the next step.